But look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go, because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last weekend.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo.
When Charlie Kirk hit The View with a $100 million lawsuit, it sent shockwaves through every corner of daytime TV. This wasn't just a legal strike. It was an earthquake aimed straight at the heart of a media empire. Sunny Hostin didn't just react. She unraveled on live television like a character who just found out their contract had been cut mid-season. Her face said panic. Her voice cracked with disbelief, and the drama spilled over like a shattered teacup. What unfolded wasn't just drama, it was chaos in its rawest, most explosive form. Picture a courtroom circus, a talk show in flames, and a meltdown worthy of a reality show finale, all colliding at once.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men actually voting more for him, and you have and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right. As Sunny spun into emotional overload, Whoopi Goldberg froze, like someone watching a nightmare repeat itself on loop. Her expression screamed, "Not again," as the set turned into a battleground of accusations and tears. And there was Charlie Kirk, stone-faced and steady, watching from the sidelines like the calm before a storm. This wasn't just legal action. It was a spectacle, dressed in a suit and tie. Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA, stepped into this storm with a purpose sharper than any on-air jab. He wasn't coming for petty drama. He came for justice with a capital J. "Do I accept their apology?" Charlie asked during a press moment. "That's not the point. The real question is, do our students accept it?" he added with intensity that cut through the noise like a knife. He didn't just defend himself. He stood up for 5,000 students who attended his youth summit, now caught in the shadows of damaging media assumptions. High schoolers, college kids, publicly linked to extremists without a shred of evidence. Charlie's frustration was clear, but it wasn't loud. It was laser-focused and chilling. "Say what you want about me," he said, "but don't drag 16 and 17-year-olds into a media mess they never signed up for. And let's talk about that staggering $100 million price tag. It's not just a lawsuit, it's a cannonball into the mainstream media pool. It screams, you messed with the wrong guy. It's not just about cash, it's about commanding attention, demanding accountability, and flipping the power dynamic on its head with legal documents instead of punchlines." Charlie's filing wasn't just an attack. It was a calculated high-profile move that pulled back the curtain on a show addicted to controversy and volume.
Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. But I said this to our team. I said working people, the muscular class, including working women, they are so in favor of Trump, and they don't want to be called stupid or uneducated.
The View has been running on emotion and volume for years, serving more heat than truth with every take. It's not a debate table. It's a televised shouting match where the scoreboard is applause. And into that chaos walks Charlie Kirk, armed with law, facts, and fury. He didn't just challenge their words, he detonated a media grenade right in the middle of their studio. Every episode of The View has turned into verbal dodgeball. No rules, no points, just rage. And now that rage has a legal price tag taped to it, and it's a big one. Sunny Hostin's breakdown wasn't just about fear, it was about exposure. She watched her safe zone transform into a pressure cooker with no escape hatch. 1 minute, she was dropping opinions like confetti. The next, she was staring down the barrel of a lawsuit that could redefine the rules of televised commentary. Charlie didn't throw punches, he launched paperwork, and the silence it created, louder than any debate The View ever hosted. This wasn't a spat, it was a storm. A full-blown cultural clash between a media megaphone and a conservative fire starter who finally decided enough was enough. The View has always acted like it's untouchable, a place where hot takes fly freely and consequences never knock. But now, those consequences have shown up, and they brought legal paperwork with them. Charlie Kirk didn't just sue a show, he sued a system that thrives on outrage, rewards interruptions, and treats reputations like they're disposable props. For years, this talk show has served drama dressed as discourse. Minor debates get turned into screaming matches, and side-eyes are treated like facts. There's no real discussion on that set, only volume and vibes. And now that the volume's being challenged, things are unraveling fast. The lawsuit pulled the rug out from under them. What was once a studio full of smug confidence is now a courtroom waiting room full of nerves. And then there's Sunny.
Turning Point conference. These were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and
I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against the because against the flags that were waved.
You let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
Hostin again, this time looking less like a legal expert and more like someone realizing her own words might cost millions. She didn't just offer opinions. She made claims that struck nerves, crossed lines, and sparked one of the biggest media storms of the year. Her meltdown wasn't acting. It was real panic, wrapped in shaky smiles and nervous glances. No script could fix the moment when she realized the spotlight had turned into a searchlight. Charlie called it what it was, a smear job. Not against him personally, but against young people who came to learn, not be labeled. When a host says a group of students might be linked to something extreme, that's not harmless. That's damaging, dangerous, and downright reckless. Charlie didn't just respond with a tweet. He responded with thunder. He turned their accusations into legal liability and dared them to explain every word. And while the panel tried to backtrack, the damage was already done. Public perception had shifted, and suddenly they weren't the ones controlling the story. Charlie's legal team is treating this like a mission, not a moment. And they're dragging every segment, every line, every implication under the microscope. It's not about shutting down voices. It's about accountability. You can't throw verbal grenades, and act shocked when someone shows up with a fire extinguisher. This isn't censorship. It's the natural result of unchecked arrogance. The View played with fire, and now they're dealing with the burn. Every gasp, every side eye, every fake debate, they all added up. And now that total might cost them $100 million. And while The View scrambles behind the scenes, Charlie looks more focused than ever. He's not trying to score points. He's trying to set a standard. He's sending a message to every talk show that hides behind opinion and forgets the power of their platform. Words matter, and now they might cost. And here's the kicker.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the event.
This legal battle isn't just about what was said. It's about who it harmed. Not Kirk, but the young people he promised to protect. They didn't ask for fame. They didn't ask for judgment. And they sure didn't sign up to be tied to hateful labels on national television. The most shocking part? The first to crack under pressure wasn't a lawyer or a host. It was the very foundation of the show's arrogance. The View has spent over a decade tossing opinions like grenades, then acting surprised when someone decides to fire back with a legal rocket. Charlie didn't walk into this to make headlines. He walked in to draw a line. And that line is burning hot under every host's chair right now. Sunny, the once composed legal analyst, now finds herself in a position she's rarely known, on the defensive, with no script and no commercial break to save her. That courtroom won't be a cozy set, with soft lighting and makeup breaks. It'll be real, raw, and ready to expose every reckless word. This isn't a slap on the wrist. It's a wake-up call for every media figure who thinks opinions can't have consequences. Producers are scrambling behind the scenes, digging through old episodes like they're looking for lost treasure, except this time, the treasure could be liability. Staffers are whispering, lawyers are stressing, and viewers are watching every move with popcorn in one hand and shock in the other. The View turned reputation roasting into a game, and now they're finding out that some players don't just walk off the field, they sue. Charlie didn't just flip the script. He tore it up and handed them a subpoena. And the fear in that studio is impossible to hide.
Let me kind of humble the audience a little bit. Donald Trump won by less than a point in Wisconsin, about 28,000 votes. He won by a point-ish, 1.2 in Michigan. And then he won by 1 point in Pennsylvania. And so, Megan, it is conceivable that without this record movement of youth vote, he doesn't win.
Every camera angle shows the tension. Every pause is longer. Every smile more forced. The weight of what they said is finally settling in. And while some call it a publicity stunt, others see it as a necessary clash between accountability and arrogance. Charlie's no stranger to criticism, but this time he's using the system they love to mock, to challenge the empire they built. It's not just Sunny who's sweating. Every co-host is feeling the tremble of this legal quake. The smugness is gone, replaced by silence and carefully worded statements. This isn't about silencing women. It's about demanding that massive platforms treat truth like a responsibility, not a toy. The moment you label a group of teenagers without proof, you step into dangerous territory. And now, that danger has come knocking. There are no applause signs in courtrooms, no producers to cut to commercial, just cold facts and legal firepower that doesn't care about ratings. And this firestorm is far from over. What started as just another episode turned into a national reckoning about what media can and cannot get away with. This isn't just Charlie Kirk versus The View. It's a showdown between outrage and order, spectacle and substance. And Sunny, she might want to grab that law degree and read it cover to cover, because the next chapter of this drama is headed straight for the courtroom. The View spent years behaving like it had immunity, like daytime TV was a shield against accountability. But this lawsuit just ripped that illusion wide open. Behind those velvet chairs and carefully angled cameras was a false sense of power, one where snarky remarks passed for analysis and mocking guests became part of the entertainment package. Now all of that is being dragged into the harsh light of a courtroom, where there's no applause for dramatic pauses and no cheering when someone throws shade.
It's amazing. She's specifically there referring to the women, but of course it's the non-college educated men as well who voted for Donald Trump. And the nerve of this woman to whom the country has given so much to try to dump on people who didn't go to college. Look at you. Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sunny?
Charlie Kirk didn't just come for damages. He came to expose the double standard, the one where loud voices can label, insult, and defame without ever being checked. This time, the script has flipped. It's not about who can talk over whom. It's about who can prove what they said and whether they were reckless in saying it. For too long, The View operated like it was a drama club with a broadcast license, more focused on applause than accuracy and more invested in outrage than understanding. Now every sarcastic smirk, every throwaway jab, and every accusatory segment is being dissected line by legal professionals who don't care about show ratings. What started as just another episode turned into a national moment, where people began to ask whether media giants should finally be held to the same standard as everyone else. And here's the truth. Charlie Kirk is no saint in the public eye, but he's playing this smarter than anyone expected. He didn't react emotionally, he responded strategically. He's using the very legal tools Sunny once praised to hold her and her co-hosts to account. That irony alone could fill a season's worth of content. While Sunny Hostin once confidently quoted laws on air, now she's watching those same laws being used against her word by word and claim by claim. Her confidence has shifted from certainty to caution, because this time she's not analyzing the law, she's being scrutinized by it. You can feel the tension across the media world. Talk show hosts, producers, pundits, they're all paying attention. Because this isn't just about The View, it's about setting a new precedent. It's a loud message. You don't get to smear someone publicly and then retreat behind the excuse of, "It was just opinion." Not when those words have lasting consequences. What Kirk is pushing back against isn't just an insult. It's a narrative, a machine, a performance that's been normalized for years on TV screens across the country.
Do you think if a liberal came to speak at University of Kentucky, they'd give an open mic like I just did to a conservative and had a discussion like this?
I certainly hope they would.
No, they wouldn't. Because speech is not a left-wing value. That is why they have to deploy shock troops called Antifa to go after everywhere I go. When I go to University of California, Davis next week, there has to be 120 police officers because of the threats, the violent threats of liberals that want me dead, that want to disrupt our events. There are no right-wing hecklers that come to events like this.
And now, the spotlight isn't just on what was said, but why it was said, how it was said, and whether it was part of a pattern designed to vilify anyone who dares to dissent. The courtroom may not be glamorous, but it's real. And for once, the most dramatic showdown of the year isn't happening during a broadcast, it's happening under oath. As Sunny's breakdown goes viral and the legal arguments heat up, what we're witnessing is more than a lawsuit. It's the unraveling of a media empire's long-standing arrogance. And for viewers, It's a turning point, a moment where entertainment, commentary, and slander finally collided, and only one can come out on top. Because at the end of the day, shouting into a camera doesn't erase your responsibility, and clapping crowds don't cancel consequences. This lawsuit might not destroy The View, but it has cracked its foundation and reminded everyone watching that free speech comes with a price when it becomes reckless. Charlie Kirk may have been mocked by the very voices he's suing, but now he's the one holding the remote and pressing pause on a culture that confused chaos with courage. So as the dust settles and the trial looms, one thing is clear. This isn't just courtroom drama. It's the day the talk show got talked back to. And for once, the final word doesn't belong to a host. It belongs to the law.